So welcome to the Flex Day presentation titled TRIO Student Support Services and the Dream Center, Serving Our Most Vulnerable Student Populations. My name is Andrea Torres and I will be your facilitator today. So if you have any questions specifically for me, if you're having any problems with this session, you can go ahead and message me directly in the chat. For faculty, your flex attendance will be tracked via the participant report that we'll pull later on. So there's no need to put your name in the chat for attendance. So let's keep that open for all of our questions. Before we get started, I just want to go over the basic Zoom etiquette that we've all probably heard 1,000 times. So bear with me. Please keep yourself muted during this presentation so that it allows our presenters to present uninterruptedly. If I hear something go off, I will just mute that quickly, and then we will open up for other questions at the end. So feel free to post your questions in the chat throughout the presentation. As you can see, we have quite a few presenters here that will be able to answer those questions throughout the presentation, and then we'll also get to those at the end if we missed one of those. Before we get started, I just wanted to make sure that you do fill out your evaluation also at the end of the day, at the end of this presentation. That's located in your online event guide, so make sure that you let us know how you like this presentation. I will now turn it over to your presenters to introduce themselves. Ben, is it okay if I start with you to do introductions? Awesome.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. And, just start off, I just really want to commend you, Andrea, and Susie, and the whole Flex Day team. It's been a phenomenal day and some really great workshops. So I look forward to hearing some really good things from the rest of the folks who've joined us. And hopefully we end with a bang here with a really good presentation. So rather than going to introducing the array of speakers that we have to talk about TRIO and DREAM, we'll just start off with one of our programs, which is the Dream Center. And then from there, talk a little bit about our TRIO SSS program that also we're very fortunate to have here at Fresno City College. Again, my name is Ben Reynoso. I'm the director of our TRIO Student Support Services program. And I've also been given the really, how do I say this, the luxury of overseeing the Dream Center here at Fresno City College, just because of all the great things that they've been able to do since their inception in 2015. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into our first presentation and introduce Lupita Garcia and Wilfredo Felix Gomez, who oversee our Dream Center. Or at least maybe we can go into the first slide and you'll see their wonderful faces on the next slide. Or actually, before I introduce them, we have a video to kind of highlight a little bit of of one of our many Dream students here at Fresno City College. So I hope you enjoy this video and learn a little bit about some of the struggles that some of our Dreamers here at Fresno City have to endure.
And Lupi, I think that the sound, you have to enable the sound on your computer. If you go up to the top of your toolbar on Zoom, you can click the options button and enable us to hear your computer sound. Is anyone else having trouble hearing it as well?
Yes, we weren't hearing it. Thank you.
Will you repeat that, please?
Yes. So if you go to the top of your Zoom screen, there's something that says View Options. And if you click the drop-down menu, it should say Share Computer Screen. Computer Sound, I'm sorry. I think it will only pop up when you have your screen shared. So if you share your screen and then go to the top, you know how you get that green button at the top that says you're sharing your screen? It should allow you to enable the share computer sound there.
While Lupita is getting that started, I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of a background as far as when the video was started. So last year, we celebrate Undocumented Student Week of Action in the month of October. And so one of the things that we did is we worked with our PIO office here at Fresno City College to create a video through the the Rampage website and newspaper to highlight some of our students and some of the struggles that they go through being dreamers. So we were very fortunate to have their team not just do a newspaper article, but also do a web series of different types of stories of our students. So this particular student has had to overcome and endure a lot.
So let's give it a try one more time and let me know if it works.
Oh, maybe 5 or 6 years old when I crossed here. I remember we took a bus from Tijuana and it dropped us off at this very tall grassy area, and that is where we met our coyote. And we just started walking through the grass. We kept going and going for miles and miles. Within the second day, we were halfway through our trail. My mom's hands and feet got really, really swollen and she could no longer walk. So she decided we were just gonna give up and we were just gonna go back home. One guy stopped in his white truck, I remember. He asked my mom if we had ID, and my mom didn't understand what he was saying, so she just said, yes, we do. She just said yes, and he was like, okay, come on. And on the last checkpoint, because when we got to it, the immigration guys just looked around the truck and they never asked us for ID. They just let us go through. As soon as we came into San Diego, we started seeing all these beautiful houses everywhere that we had never seen before. And that's when my mom said, this is it. I think we made it. My name is Jacqueline Garcia. I am 21 years old and I am currently attending Fresno City College. It usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes to get to school. And then I still have to walk a good 10 minutes just to get to my class. Getting DACA was a little bit hard. It definitely has helped me throughout life. And I'm very grateful, but I am a little terrified about the decision that we're going to be having coming up with the Supreme Court. Whenever I'm feeling down or I have any question that I have, I just go into the Dream Center and they answer all my questions and they try their hardest to help me.
The Dream Center offers services to our students, everything from counseling to emotional support, as far as for all students who are undocumented or come from families who are from mixed status.
Just like today, I came in and I let them know that I'm very sick and I've been dealing with it for the past 2 years, and I couldn't find anybody to direct me to the right place to get help. I just came in and she got me an appointment and I might just be getting the specialist I need.
I would say the number one goal for our students is that they just want an education. They want a job, they want to pay their taxes, they want a house, they want a car. I mean, I think they just want the American dream.
Who knows, I could have been dead by now if I was still there. I'm a first generation, and yes, I am definitely grateful for the sacrifices my mom has done to give me a better life. I'm doing all of this for my family. I'm doing all of this because I want to give back to them. I want to break this stigma of being poor, of being uneducated. And I know that if I continue working hard, pushing every day, not letting the sickness push me back, but make me stronger. I know that I will accomplish everything.
Thank you, Lupita, for sharing that. So as you can see, it's just one of many powerful stories that some of our dreamers have had to endure while pursuing their education. And one of the things that we here at Fresno City really pride ourselves in, and again, it speaks testament to the leadership of our president, Dr. Carol Goldsmith, and all the leaders, faculty, and everyone on campus, that we are here to support and help our dreamers, regardless of whatever political beliefs we have, whether it be one way or another. We're here to serve our students, and these are our students. So for that reason, it's powerful for us to be able to assist them and help them throughout their educational journey. With that being said, I'm going to pass it over to one of our counselors, either Willie or Lupita.
Thank you everyone for being here. I'm Lupita Garcia, I'm one of the new counselors for the Dream Center. So yes, as Ben mentioned, that was a very powerful video that reflects the story of many of our Dream students here at Fresno City College and the their daily challenges as they face continue with their education. So who are our Dream students? So our Dream students are undocumented students, students who do not possess a valid social security number or a work permit. Our Dream students are also DACA students. Also the TPS students or students who come from Central America, students who have some type of a visa such as the U visa and the T visa. And also some citizens fall under this category, and others such as the asylums or refugees. So not only undocumented students are considered dreamers. As you can see, there's a lot more students who fall under that category. So these are the students that we work on a daily basis at the Dream Center.
Okay, thank you, Lupita. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Willie Games. I'm one of the counselors from Fresno City College Dream Center. Now I'm gonna tell you how is the life of an undocumented student, okay? An undocumented student is also is a dreamer, but is one of the portion of our dreamers. I mean, those are the ones who do not have a social security and a work permit. And where many of the times they get, actually all the dreamers, they get categorized under their situation, but like and in this slide, I'm gonna explain you all the difficulties that they have, this specific population. Like, as you can see, they're the first generations to go to college. They come from a very low income family. Actually, every time that when you see students who go from the fields to school and they become successful, most likely it's gonna be from a dreamer. They actually come from this type of students. I can tell you something, that this one is the most vulnerable population under the political climate and under the economical disadvantages as well. They do have a very limited access or no access to programs like, for example, CalFresh, CalWorks, very limited access to financial aid. They do not qualify for any federal programs or services. Also, for them, this population is the one that if they have any trouble with the authorities, most likely they will end up in deportation. Okay, this population is the one that gets most oppressed most of the times. They get oppressed by fear. I'm gonna tell you one story that happened a couple of years ago. One of our students who came to the Dream Center, I'm gonna call her Maria. Maria, she came to the Dream Center. She had a car accident. She got hit by a car. When she got hit by a car, in that moment, she was 18. She didn't have a license, social security, work permit, or anything. Then suddenly, when she was on the Dream Center, she was telling us, crying. She was telling us that she was scared because the police told her that even it was her fault, the reason because that she shouldn't have been there. So even though she got hit, she got her fault. So that one, it gave her fear. It was like, you know what? I'm scared that I'm gonna be deported. I'm gonna get in trouble. That I'm not gonna be able to legalize in the future. So that one is just one example of one of the things that our students go through each time that they get oppressed.
So another thing that our students also face is the wrongfully used terms for dreamers. Sometimes people, they assume that all students are undocumented or DACA, and that's not the case of our students. Some of the students, they do have a valid social security number and they do have a work permit. So that's one of the assumptions. Another one is that the students with an accent or who do not speak English are dreamers, and that's not necessarily the case. Other people utilize the word illegal to refer to dreamers, and the proper word is undocumented only for those students who do not possess a work permit or a social security number. Or they also refer as the DREAM Act student. The DREAM Act refers to the financial aid assistance that the students receive. And also assuming that the DREAM students are the only ones that can utilize the DREAM services at Fresno City College, when in reality, they have access to other services, but not the federal services. But our students, they can go to the general counseling, they can go to the library, they have access to all the other services available for every single student at Fresno City College, except the federal services.
Okay, I just want to tell you a little bit about how the Dream Center has become since their opening in 2015 until now. So, and these are numbers that we just went through there, just to let you know how our numbers grow in terms of numbers with students and visits to the Dream Center. Well, in the first year, where it was in 2015 to 2016, they had record 155 students. And those 155 students, they visited 369. In 2016 and 17, they registered 217 students and they were 801 visits. Then in the year 2017, we were able to make a huge jump from 217 to 665. It's because the Dream Center found the strategies to target them and to locate them more than anything. And with those 665 students, they visited the Dream Center 1,054 times. In 2018, we had 784 students, and they visited the Dream Center 1,252 times. And then in 2019, we had 980 students. And then in the year of 2019, before the pandemic, they had already visited the Dream Center 2,046 times. And then for this year, the number, it went down to 248, like any other number because of the pandemic, of the political climate and all the things. So we went down to 648. And currently, because we're still in progress in this year, we don't have the number of visits available, how many times they have visited us.
The one thing, guys, that I want to really emphasize is, and I'm going to give credit where credit is due, is the fact that these students are not just coming once a year or twice a year. You can see that some of the numbers really reflect that these students come continuously to our Dream Center to seek services. And so I do want to commend, Willie, who's been with the program since its inception, as well as Lupita, who's joined us in the last year. It really does take counselors with a special heart and special that give towards the students and really want to focus on whatever is going on with them, not just academically, but sometimes hear some other struggles outside of their academics, just to assist them. So I do want to commend Willie and Lupita on that.
So what we see here is one of the things that causes some of the confusion when we talk about our Dream students, and it's the terminology that we use. So with this, I would like to provide you a short explanation of the difference between three of the most common used terms that tends to be more confusing for some of us. So, which is the AB 540, DACA, and the California DREAM Act. The AB 540 it's an assembly bill that was signed into a law in October of 2001, which authorized any student, including undocumented students who meet a specific criteria, to pay in-state tuition at California public colleges and universities. So in order for a DREAM student to be eligible to pay in-state tuition, the student must have graduated from a high school, for a California high school, or attended a high school in California for 3 or more years, or must have obtained a California GED, or must have attended 3 or more years in a combination of elementary school, middle school, and or high school, or of 3 or more years. And they also have to submit what we call the AB 540 affidavit form. With DACA, In 2012, the Barack Obama administration created the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, best known as DACA. So this executive decision benefited many undocumented immigrant students. So students must meet specific criteria to be eligible for DACA. So what DACA does, that allows certain undocumented immigrants to receive a renewable 2-year work permit and exemptions. So it allows undocumented immigrants to have a valid or temporary social security card for working purposes only. And last is the California DREAM Act. That was signed into a law also in October of 2011. And the DREAM Act is a form of financial assistance, but it's not the same as FAFSA. I do want to emphasize that it's not the same as FAFSA. So the DREAM Act allows students interested in attending eligible California colleges, universities, and career programs to apply for state financial aid only. So that's the difference between these three. One is for admission purposes. The other one is for the first one is for admission purposes and pay in-state tuition, which is the AB 540. DACA is for students, for certain students or undocumented immigrants to have a valid social security number and a work permit. And the California DREAM Act is for the students to receive some type of financial aid.
Okay, thank you, Lupita. So right now, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the admissions, which for dreamers to be able to get admitted to Fresno City College in any four-year university, college, or any accredited colleges here in California, they have to meet one of these three laws to be able to qualify for in-state tuition, which is the AB 540, which already Lupita explained about that one, which is 3 years of high school and a high school diploma. So, and then later on in 2017, they were noticing that some students, some of them, they were having trouble, some students, they were having trouble to qualify for the AB 540 because some of them, they're arriving here when they had 2 years of high school, like in the 11 and the 12, and then they graduated. So they didn't meet the AB 540. So they decided to make the AB 2000, which allowed any students to utilize 3 years from K to all the way to 12 in a high school diploma or its equivalency, and then they qualify for in-state tuition. And they have to also apply for the AB 540 affidavit form. Then they also and then the latest legislation that they apply for admissions is the SB 68, the Senate Bill 68, which is it's allowed for adult students, the students who are attending adult school or even community college, as long as they do 3 years of adult schools or community college in combination with a high school, and they have something, a high school diploma or its equivalency or a higher degree, they can qualify for the AB 540 as well. Okay, right now, really important, okay? We decided to bring this slide over here, the comparison between the DREAM Act and FAFSA. This is the financial aid the students dreamer gets and a student who qualifies for FAFSA gets, okay? So for FAFSA, students who qualify for FAFSA, they get federal grants, Pell grants, Shafi grants, Cal grants, Work Study. They qualify for the Promise Grant, which is also known as the fee waiver. Well, those students, the students who qualify for FAFSA, they get around between $8,000 to $12,000 a year. That's a Fresno City College, okay? And that FAFSA is available for 6 years for them, okay? For the DREAM Act, for dreamers, so they qualify for Cal grants, student success grants, student success competition grants. Sorry about that. And then they qualify for the Promise Grant, the free waiver. They get an average between $1,800 to $3,000 for the students who qualify, and it's only available for 4 years. Okay, and that one is available for 4 years in the whole system. So as you can tell, this is the difference between one and the other ones. That's why Fresno City College, they decided to bring a Dream Center to help them out because they see the need of these students to be able to be successful in higher education.
So what are some of the services that the student will receive once they enter the Dream Center, at least at Fresno City College? So the students, we can provide academic counseling. We also provide a financial aid assistance, and we have different resources for our students based on their needs. With the academic counseling, we help the student create a student educational plan. We help them select courses based on their career of interest. We also help with students who are on probation, disqualification, or returning students, and anything else that they might need that is related to academic counseling. In regards to the financial aid assistance, we help them with their, to fill out their DREAM Act application whenever they need help, or any emergency funds that are available for our students through the financial aid office. We also help the students with that, providing them information or anything that they might need. Also scholarships, whether through Fresno City or through outside agencies. And some of the resources that we provide to our students are internships, immigration services, various workshops throughout the semester, at least 1 or 2 per month, informational sessions, and partnerships with outside agencies. So as you can see, our students receive everything that they might need in order to continue being successful in their academic journey. We also refer students to other departments if needed. But we try to provide as many help as we can to the students so they can complete everything at just one stop.
Okay, this one, we also have in our office, we've been collaborating with FCC, an attorney. It was, her name is Paloma Contreras. She's actually, is an immigration attorney, and she's for all Fresno City College, the students, the staff, and whoever needs it in our campus. However, it's under the Dream Center because we do have a lot of DACA students who can work to them, and we will call, well, and we do have a link, a phone number where our students can schedule an appointment with them. The attorney that she helps with citizenship, DACA, work permits, anything related to immigration, we have it there. So if you have a students or anyone or staff or anyone who would like to speak to an attorney, we do have it at the Dream Center. Well, we collaborate with the Dream Center. Her name is Paloma Contreras.
So yeah, I just want to emphasize if you go back to that last slide, Lupita, that the legal services is something new that we have this year. In the past, we've reached out to other agencies here locally who've helped with that. But the California Community College system has given us money to have this free legal services for our students and US staff as well. And even for family members that you have, as long as you show up or you make the appointment, they can have that conversation with you or a family member. So, just please take account to that. And if you have more questions regarding that, we can definitely answer that.
Adding a little bit to that one, and now the consultations are free as well.
These are the different communication outlets that we have available as of right now to communicate with our students. One is through Canvas and email. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page where we constantly input in information, whether it be there about workshops or any information that we think it's important for the students to know. So feel free to follow us and share this information with your students as well.
We do have a couple questions, Willie and Lupita, if you can just answer those right before we jump into the TRIO presentation, because I know we want to give them time too. But does the AB 540 affidavit address all 3 scenarios that students might fall under, or are they 3 different forms that they have to fill out?
Yes, actually it has all the 3 scenarios right there. As long as they qualify for one of them, they will be there through check box marks. And once, every single individual as a Dreamer, Ben, we have to actually go through them and we have to look at their situation. Sorry about that. Okay, so then once we look at them, we decide which bus is the one they have to do it, but yeah, we can find them in there, definitely.
And then the last question before we jump into the next presentation here is DACA renewable, and can it be extended for longer than the initial 4 years?
So that question is more for Paloma. It's my immigration size. Like when Lupita mentioned, I remember when she mentioned all the difference between the DREAM Act, DACA, and AB 540. The immigration portion is not part of our, let's say, of our side of work. We do collaborate with agencies, with attorneys, things like that, because I know it's important for our students. But that one is more like an immigration question. She's the actual person who can answer you that question. And that one, it changed as the legislation comes, because every time they're changing, it goes by course and things like that. So normally we don't answer those questions. When we get those questions, we send them to our attorney.
Yeah. But the last we've heard is that it's every year that our students are having to apply for DACA, and I believe it's a pretty hefty, what is it, 450, I think, to apply each year. So in the past it was 2 years. So it's stuff that we, you know, again, we're here to help them academically, but you know, we are in the trenches as well, and some of the political stuff to try to get that back to 2 years and maybe lower some of that and open up for a lot of our students to be able to work, because you know, they're doing their education. Why shouldn't they work as well? But you know, again, that's a little bit more of a political comment there. Are we done with the presentation, or we have 1 or 2 more slides?
I thought I saw another question, Ben, that it was about the DREAM Act. I heard that they asked if they can apply through the DREAM Act at the university. Actually, as long as a college or university accredited, they can apply to the DREAM Act and they will qualify. And they can only get it for 4 years overall, whether they get 2 at Fresno City College and 2 Fresno State, for example, which is the most common one. Many times when our students, we notice that they're taking more than 2 years with us over here, we'll let them know, hey, you know what, you need to do something that is called leave of absence. And the 3rd year, so that way they can use the other 2 years of Fresno State, because as you can see, their financial aid is very, very limited.
And this concludes that presentation for the Dream Center. If you have any other more questions, feel free to type them in, and then we'll answer them at the end of the following presentation. With that being said, I would like to give the floor to the SSS presenters or counselors.
Lupita, can you stop your screen share, por favor? Thank you. All right, guys, as we transition from our role, or from the Dream Center to kind of the TRIO program, the reason we're kind of doing this in combination with both programs is because we do share one director. So, and we do sometimes share our students as well, if more in the referral services than anything else. So as I get this presentation ready, kind of bear with me. So our TRIO program here at Fresno City College, well, now we actually have more than one TRIO student support services at our campus. So we want to make sure we kind of distinguish ourselves from the other one as well. Ours is more of a traditional student support services program. And now we do have a STEM focused program, just so you guys are aware. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that as well. Are you guys able to see my screen, Ben? Are you guys good? All right. So this is kind of our team who we're built, or kind of our office is built behind. Our director is Ben. One of our longtime counselors is May Vang, and then myself, Roberto Mariscal. And I'll let them kind of introduce themselves as they go and they present through some of these slides, just to make sure we're in a timely manner and we give you guys the time to ask questions. So TRIO is probably one of the most, or it probably is the longest running program targeting first generation students. Its inception was in the 60s. And one of the biggest misconceptions people think is, what's the acronym for TRIO? And typically there's not one. TRIO signifies the 3 original programs that first came on board to help students, which was Upward Bound, Talent Search, and Student Support Services. As of 2021, there's actually 7 programs kind of under the umbrella of TRIO, with a little bit more programs sprinkled within there, just so you guys are aware. The most common you guys will see is Upward Bound, or a lot of people know Upward Bound. When we do present into the classrooms, people tie in TRIO with Upward Bound, just so you guys are aware. The TRIO programs were created to, target low-income first-generation students to provide them opportunities. Specifically at our campus, we have a large population of students who are first-gen and low-income. 3/4 of our population typically qualify for some of our program or services. It's just having the students identify themselves and kind of wanting to seek that support system. So to kind of distinguish how our programs run and kind of work, the blue boxes on the top are all programs targeted towards high school students. So Talent Search Upward Bound Math Science, Veterans Upward Bound. That one's a bit more for veterans. And then EOC, which is our adult population program. They all funnel into the potential program of SSS, or Student Support Services, that helps students in a post-secondary education system, whether it's a community college, CSU, UC, or private institution. This program is a federal program, meaning that some of our dreamers are not able to join our program. And I kind of want to distinguish that and kind of let the faculty know, one of the biggest questions we always get is, can dreamers join our program? And because we are a federal program, that's one of the downfalls of our program. We can't serve them. So I just want to highlight that. But that's why I say we work seamlessly with the Dream Center, because if we do have applicants, we refer them to them just to make sure that we're not just not providing them the support. We want to make sure we give them a smooth transition. As students are finalizing their time with SSS, whether it's with us or they're at Fresno State, there's another program called the McNair program, which is the Ronald E. McNair program. And I want to highlight this program because this program is targeting students who are on the pace or would like to seek a doctoral degree. And many people are not aware Fresno State actually has this program. So I want to highlight it for people who are not necessarily aware of this. And this program provides them financial assistance to be able to kind of work through their master's and their doctoral degree, sometimes where they would have to pay very little out of pocket.
So every 5 years, we rewrite for our grants. We were very fortunate last year to have written for multiple grants here at Fresno City College. We rewrote for our existing grant, and we were very fortunate to get that grant. It's a very competitive experience to write for them, but luckily, we were able to get a good score, a perfect score actually, and get those prior experience points and so forth. But with that, we also received a brand new SSS STEM program. So right now that SSS CTE program is being overseen by Dean, the health side, I'm losing her name, Dean Smith, Lorraine Smith, as well as Dean Becky Barabee. So Charlamagne Gonzalez is working for that program and recruiting students for that program. So we're looking at about 160 STEM students for that new SSS program that we received as well, on top of our existing program. So our existing program oversees all first generation low income students, whereas SSS STEM is just for STEM or CTE majors. So again, our programs are funded through the Higher Education Act, OMB Secular, Edgar, so we have to follow all those rules. We do an annual report, so there's a lot of work that goes with our program besides just seeing students. Robert and May are very busy a lot inputting some of that information that the federal programs ask for at the federal level. So again, who qualifies for TRIO SSS? It's a first generation student, meaning that one of the parents has, or neither of the parents has graduated from a four-year college. Also low income is you'll see how we qualify low income. and students with disabilities as well. We genuinely look for students who are enrolled at Fresno City with 12 or more units per semester. And then also students who are trying to obtain a degree or trying to transfer are the ones that we try to pursue.
One thing I definitely would like to highlight is the definition of a first-generation student. A lot of our students mix up that term because either their brother, sister, or cousin has attended college, and a lot of times they think they don't qualify for our program. And I just want to highlight that it's neither parent has a 4-year degree. Just make sure that we're on the same page with that.
So here at Fresno City, we have 160 students that we service every year. And you'll see some of our objectives that we wrote for our grant. We'll go to the next slide and I'll kind of talk a little bit about those objectives. So that way, how we try to be a really good program. So let's go to the next slide. So you'll see here that one of our objectives is persistence rate. So based off with the first time that we wrote for the grant back in 2014, you'll see that the FCC average was 57% of our students were persisting. And we took the average of first generation low income students. So it might have not been the general population of the campus. It might've been the first gen low income, but as you can see, it's 57% is a pretty low percentage. And again, if you're first generation low income, like myself and many of you on here, you don't have the support at home. Parents didn't go to college. A lot of them don't know some of the ins and outs in colleges. And that's what SSS tries to give them. We try to give them that one-on-one counselor that is going to be with them that 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it takes for them to graduate from community college. So we really do work towards getting that. And we said, we're gonna try at least for 70%, and you'll see that the attained goal is really high. So our students do persist to the next year. I'll just kind of focus on 2018-19. We were at 91%. Good academic standing means 2.0 or higher. That was 56%, but most of our students, 91% back in 2018-19, had a 2.0 or higher. So, it does speak testament to how we try to help those students and really get them to focus that GPA does count and does matter. Graduation rates, again, for first generation low incomes to graduate within 4 years, it seems really low, 27%, but based off the average of what we got that year, it is quite significant that we have 27% in 2018-19. So, again, we really, really try to push it to the students to, hey, take your 12 units, take your 15, don't work as much. I know you have a little kid at home, but let's try to do this, or, really give them that same advice so that way they can continue on and make education their priority, even though we know they have a million priorities. And then transfer as well. We really have tried to get them to transfer within the 4 years that they join our program.
Okay, so in addition to just campus success, we have, there's like studies after studies nationally that indicate that TRIO Student Support Services program is very successful as well. And so I just pulled up some stats from a study that was conducted nationally over, various programs with over like 7,000 students, and they compared it with other students who were in a very similar situation and that did not participate in an SSS program or TRIO program. And they found that students who participated in TRIO were more likely to be successful in obtaining their degree. So it's not just success at FCC, but nationally, it shows that students who are in a supportive program are a lot more successful. So we have this saying in TRIO programs, and it's a saying that says TRIO works. And so if you ever are part of TRIO or if you're familiar with TRIO, you'll like hear this phrase all the time, that TRIO works, TRIO works. And I think, working in TRIO for many years now, I feel that the reason why TRIO works is because we have a lot of different factors that come into play. But we all know that when we work with a vulnerable population. There's a lot of different challenges of working with a vulnerable population. Our students go through a lot of challenges that I think as professionals, we need to try to understand more. So in TRIO, we try to break as many of those barriers as we can. So we don't have a limit in our program. Like Ben said earlier, students come into a TRIO program and they stay at an SSS program until they're ready to graduate. So we don't have that time constraint. So, you know, students who are returning students, students who had to take a leave for health reasons, students who, you know, for whatever reason, they need more time, they're allowed to do that in a TRIO program. As well as we don't have, you know, probation penalties. Sometimes programs, you have to like keep a certain GPA to stay in, or you have to take certain classes to stay in. And at TRIO, we don't have that as well. So even when our students, you know, go on probation, we work with them. We're very open to just, you know, keeping that open communication with them that, you know, what is it that you're going through, and working with them. And a lot of our students understand that. Some of them will take a break for a couple of years when they're ready, or when things have settled down in their lives, they come back at our door asking us how to get back into school and how to re-enroll. So I think that's something that's great about being in a TRIO program. And then something that we started recently in the last few years is we've started inquisitive interviewing, and in the next slide, I'll kind of go over that. But basically, this is something that as faculty, you can integrate into you building rapport with your students as well. So so these are just some factors that, you know, we all probably understand contribute to a student's academic success. So they're all just things that we all know either factor into making it harder for a student to be successful or making it easier for a student to be successful. And at TRIO, we try to really understand students holistically and knowing their big picture. But what inquisitive interviewing really is it's just a way to build rapport with our students very quickly through the art of like asking questions that will lead to an abundance of, you know, more questions and more information. So there's like a checklist here. So we're not gonna go and we're not just gonna be asking students, you know, are you in remedial math or English? You know, do you have lack of technology? You know, these are all like checklist questions that, you know, we can all easily ask. But when we approach it with, you know, inquisitive interviewing, we're going to change the way that we communicate with our students, and we're going to change the way that we ask questions to get better answers, and so that our students just feel like we are very in tune to what they're going through. And so we work with a vulnerable population. They have a lot of factors that sometimes communication is not, you know, for whatever reason is not developed or whatever, you know, like it could be cultural, it could be, you know, PTSD, it could be, you know, a relationship that they're in, that they're not readily, they're not going to really just communicate. So basically what I'm trying to say is that we rephrase the way that we talk to our students. So instead of asking, you know, questions like, you know, just, and this is kind of hard as a counselor because a really basic of our teaching is that we ask a lot of open-ended questions, right? We were taught to ask a lot of open-ended questions so that the student can answer. But I found that in working with, you know, our students and working with a vulnerable population, it's initially to build rapport with them, it's been more effective to ask personalized questions and sometimes very specific questions as long as they're appropriate. So instead of asking students, how are you doing? You know, I'll ask questions like, what are some things that has occupied your time in the last few days? And you're gonna get your answer, right? You're gonna get to know how the student's doing, but you're gonna be getting like so much more. So, you know, like a thing on there is how much they work. So instead of asking a student like, do you work? Or how many hours do you work? You would ask them a question like, what is it like for you to go to college and to also work? And there you're going to get a lot of information, and your students will just be in a better place to answer your questions. And anyways, to kind of fall back on that, I remember myself when I was back in college, when I had like flunked my first test. It's hard for me to admit that, but I flunked my first test because I had the flu that week. And so the test was coming up. I didn't contact the teacher because, it just wasn't me to contact the teacher. And, it just wasn't like a culturally, something that I would do culturally. So the test came up. I went in anyways because I wanted to be diligent, but I flunked the test. And then when I went back to class the next day, the teacher asked me, what happened? Okay, so what happened is a very vague question, right? I mean, I actually didn't even answer it. I just kind of, said something briefly, but a different way to ask, like a question like that would be, I noticed that you didn't do so well on your last test. What was difficult about it? So when communicating with students from a vulnerable population, sometimes it's just more helpful to communicate more specifically and ask them more personalized questions that will elicit an answer that's a lot more personable from them as well. Okay, and so with that, that's just some of the things that we do to get to know our students better. And I feel that TRIO is very successful because of our relationship with our students, because we are very service-based. We're not, for the most part, we're not very financial based and anything like that. It's very service-based. So as faculty, what can you do to assist students to be more successful in your classes? You can, like what you're doing right now, you can stay informed about the different programs that are on campus. What better way to tell your students about services on campus than to know about them yourself, okay? So you can also, get to know your students by using inquisitive interviewing. If you have a lot of vulnerable students in your classes that, sometimes you ask them how they're doing and they just say good or not good, maybe, and it takes a lot of work because you have to kind of think yourself of how to ask questions, but to ask the right questions, you'll get a different response from vulnerable students, okay? Refer students to the programs. And one of the best ways that you can refer students to the DREAM or to TRIO or to EOPS or to any other programs on campus is to integrate a resource list into your syllabus. As a program, we can spend thousands of dollars on brochures and put them all over campus, and sometimes they're very overlooked. But I can guarantee you that as a faculty member, your students are looking at your syllabus when they're in your classes. So like just, by stapling a simple resource to your syllabus or posting it on your Canvas page or something, similar to that, a lot of students will get to know these services that are on campus that are available to them a lot more readily. Okay, so, I've actually linked a initial resource list of the 2 campuses that you learned today. So I'm sure that you'll get this PowerPoint somehow, but that link will kind of show you what a simple resource page is like for the 2 programs that we discussed today.
So kind of touching upon what May was talking, for many of you guys who are teaching or, have a few sections this semester, we challenge you guys to refer at least 5 students in your class that you get to know, not just hopefully random students that you pick and choose, but actually take the time to talk to your students as best as possible via online methods. But refer them to a TRIO program or a DREAM Center. And it's 5 students from all your sections. We're not saying 5 per class that you have, but it's just 5 per section. So if you have 5 classes, maybe 1 student per each section you're teaching. So I think it's something doable, and I think it's a good challenge for a lot of you guys to kind of get out of your comfort zone, potentially to kind of provide students the support. And kind of like May touched upon a little bit, add an academic resource page to your syllabus or Canvas, or have something readily available for students at all times. A huge portion of it is all the academic programs that are available for students on campus. There's not just a Dream Center, there's not just TRIO, there's a bunch of other programs. There's Puente, there's Ideal, you know, the programs that they don't have time to all name. But additionally, also the RAM Pantry is an additional resource that you guys can highlight for your guys' students, especially during these times, during COVID times. So that's kind of a little bit of a challenge to faculty and staff to kind of have these resources and kind of make it readily available for your guys' students. And additionally, kind of educate you know, your students on what's available for them. So one of the reasons why we like to say TRIO works, like May was saying, is that our students, we like to provide them a relaxed and confidential space for them to be able to work with us. Our meetings are not tailored to 45 minutes, like the traditional counseling. Our meetings sometimes can go a little bit longer with some of our students because they will disclose some information that maybe they wouldn't do in a general counseling setting. So we do get to know our students fairly well. And we also, you know, we give them a lot of the resources on campus when we do meet with them. Additionally, as we get to know our students, they have the opportunity to see the same counselor over and over. So if a student goes in there and be like, hey, I want to see a counselor, be like, hey, I want to see May, I make sure that I ask the student, do you continuously want to see the same counselor because you've already built that rapport? Or if a student sometimes just wants their you know, support right then and there, then I'll make sure that I can help them when the time's available. But that's one option we give our students. We try not to bounce them around as much as possible. So kind of a one-stop location for our students. And this is we're able to do this because we do have partnerships around campus and with faculty and staff that provide us all the latest information that we can relay that to our students. So it's critical for a lot of our students who come to our program or ask for help, because the last thing they want to do is be bounced around for me to send them to a different office, because we do have some students who will disclose, oh, now you're sending me to another counselor a lot of times. And that's not our goal. Our goal is to make sure that we can provide them the best services possible. So these are some of the services that our students receive upon joining our program. Priority registration is one of the biggest ones that we offer. We're not a monetary program, so we don't offer them money to join our program. And that's one of the biggest things that I want to highlight. It's the services that we provide our students that make our students successful and return. So the academic advising, career planning, some of the study skill workshops. We touch upon on some of the basic information for financial aid, transfer assistance, cultural events that we definitely highlight as best as possible. And then additionally, pre-COVID times, we did offer some college campus tours to our students. So we would take them out of the Fresno area, take them up, to see some of the campuses down south, even up north, just to make sure that our students are aware of different campuses or different colleges or universities that they are able to attend, because a lot of them never have had the opportunity to visit a new campus or any other campus besides Fresno City College. So we want to kind of expand their horizon. And then another thing that we also do for our students who are eligible is to apply for our scholarship within our program. Last year, our program granted over $12,000 in grants to our students. So that's a huge highlight for our program. And that's a little bit of a way of us giving back to our students. Additionally, as students kind of finalize their time with our program, our biggest thing is we refer our students to other TRIO programs, whether it's at CSU, UCs. Like I said, Fresno State is probably our biggest feeder. So we actually refer them to the other programs or the other TRIO program out there. Some of our students also qualify for EOP, so we definitely recommend them to the best options that they have available. And then traditionally, a lot of our students, they do build a great rapport with us. So they always come back and ask us if we can get a letter of recommendation, whether it's for employment, for a different school, or for depending whatever they need it for. And additionally, some of our students who excel and do very well in certain subjects, we'll reach out to them for potential internship or job referrals. So specifically with our Upward Bound program, students have the opportunity to work during the summers. So we'll reach out to them and kind of offer them that opportunity. So we're kind of trying to keep our students employed and kind of keep them helping our additional TRIO programs within the institution. I'll highlight these real quick because we're kind of getting short on time. Some of the requirements that our students tend to fulfill. A lot of these requirements, our students will fulfill them just by being part of the program. So 2.0 is our biggest things and so forth. And then traditionally, what does a TRIO student look like? There's not a cookie cutter model of what our students look like. It can be anybody. So most of the time, a lot of our students are full-time employees or they're part-time. And they take courses around work availability, which is a huge component for us to kind of get to know, because a lot of times when we meet with our students, we would just want to give them a schedule and be like, hey, just sign up for these courses. And that's not necessarily the case, or it's not possible. So we got to make sure we take the time and get to know our students fairly well. And that's when they disclose, hey, I have a full-time employment and I have 2 kids at home. I can't do a full-time schedule. So that's why we say we do our best to make sure that we meet the student where they're at and provide them the best services possible. We do in our program have a large portion of single parents. And we gotta account for that too, because when we're registering students for classes, we gotta plan around daycare, preschool, or just any form of education that their child is getting. So we gotta account for that. And then traditionally, we also do have students who are just coming straight from high school and are entering our program. Not all our students are older, so we have a variety of students ranging from, I want to say from 18. I want to say our probably oldest student is probably 60. So we do service students from a large variety age gap. So just so you guys are aware.
And I think one of the things, and Robert, sorry to interrupt you, but with our older students, I think they get it. I think they get how valuable the time and energy that we're going to give them. And yes, like if they come in and they say, I just need to print this, or I just need to send an email, or can I just, do this really quick here? Like, we're going to say, yes, our goal is not to just turn them away and say, oh, well, you need to go to financial aid for that or whatever. Like, I think a lot, especially our older students, they get that when they go into our office, we're going to help them. Our goal is not to say, oh, not today, or you know what, I got 5 minutes and that's it. It is very much tailored towards what they need and what's needed at that time for them. And sometimes our younger population don't really understand that. They'll go for the program that gives a bigger stipend or things like that, those programs are blessed to have. But for us, we don't really have that kind of stuff. So we got to give them us as a person. So if you think of it as like a relationship, some people are going to go for that rich person and marry them and be okay with that. But some people want that time and commitment and spend time with me and really get to know me. So I think that's what we in TRIO really want to do with our students. So if you know those students that need that kind of a counselor, we're here for them.
So if you guys ever want to contact our office, you guys, well, for those of you guys who don't even know where our office is at, traditionally our office is above the bookstore in room 216. So we do share an office space with psychological services. So I do want to highlight that. So if you do have students that we need to refer out, we refer them literally down the hall or down the next door from us. So here's our emails if you guys like to contact us. There is a QR scan code right here that goes straight directly to our application. So if you guys want to, after we get you guys the PowerPoint, you guys want to upload it into your guys' syllabus or Canvas page, feel free to put that on there. We definitely would love the support. So currently right now, our office is rebranding all our social media just to make sure it's like a seamless transition. So we want to make sure everything matches. So bear with us. We will have a brand new, like up-to-date social media page coming up soon. That kind of culminates our presentation. I want to make sure we give the time and space for anyone that has questions, whether it's for the Dream Center or for the TRIO program. And we'll do our best to answer within the time frame that we have left.
Thank you to the presenters. We have just a little under 10 minutes here for the rest of our presentation. And I just want to say I learned a lot from this presentation, so I'm sure the rest of the colleagues that are in here have learned so much. I love what May said about the inquisitive interviewing, and I'm going to use that as we talk with students. Just a lot of positive feedback in your chats. I didn't see any questions come in yet, but if you do have questions, you can raise your hand or put them in the chat, either one, and we'll get to those to make sure the presenters have time to answer those. But just a lot of positive feedback for both programs. And I see we had one instructor, Delmi, who says, I accept the challenge. So that instructor should be sending referrals your way this semester. So hopefully you see those come in. But yes, anybody who has questions, please go ahead and take this time to ask those now.
If I could make a really quick plug as the director, and I see Charlamagne is also on here. So Charlamagne is overseeing the new SSS STEM program. So if you do have those STEM and CTE, she's a great resource, and you can send some of those potential students there. If not, again, we'll be happy to bring them into our traditional SSS program. But one of the things that we noticed this last year, or in the last 2 years, is the decline of males to apply for our type of program. So, we really want to put it out there that, us as men, sometimes it's hard to kind of ask for help or ask for that additional attention. So really reach out to and help us recruit some of our males, men of color especially. We really want to help them out.
So we do have a question from Vincent. So do we visit classes? Traditionally, prior to COVID, we would do a lot of classroom presentations for folks that would let us in their classroom. It's sad to say, but a lot of times when we do email instructors, a lot of us kind of disregard our email, just to put that out there. But we understand it's difficult. You guys have your guys' classes planned out. But like we always tell instructors, we're there. We can give you a 5-minute presentation, 10 minutes, depending on how long you guys want us in your classroom space. Or we can provide you all the resources where you can explain it to your students. So there's various different options of kind of how to get the message across. And kind of like I've been saying, specifically during these times, during COVID time, it's very difficult for, in general, any program to recruit. And this is why we're also presenting. So if you know students or find students that are eligible for any support program, I would say definitely refer them out and get them the resources and the support they need, whether it's academically or just any other way that's possible.
Willie or Lupita, there's a really good question. I think it goes for either program. The transition of online, how's it been for our first gen students, for TRIO, and then also for our Dreamers? You want to share?
Okay, Ben. Yeah, so the transition with us, it was really critical, really hard. Every time that changes happens, our student populations, they tend to run. And because of obvious reasons, they just want to see what's going to happen. And then later on, that's when they start contacting us. So at the beginning, I'm not going to lie to you, we were actually seeing like talking to one student or two a week. We were having trouble for them. Another trouble we were having with them is that they didn't have that technology. Many of them, they didn't have the internet. Or Director Benrin also, but kudos for him. He actually had to go and ask for hotspots for internet, so that way we can provide to our students, because we know the challenges that we're having. It was a really hard transition in adaptation, but somehow within this semester, well, within the after October, November until right now, it seems that they already assimilate and they adapt to the transition. But yeah, at the beginning it was very difficult.
If I can add a little bit to that, our students, like Willie said, the Dreamers, they're not used to showing themselves in person. They're not used to saying, hey, guess what, I'm a Dreamer and stuff. Why? Because of the political climate. So they were afraid to go on Zoom. They were afraid to do that. At first, Willie and Lupita were getting a lot of phone calls, type of meetings with the students. Now, like they said, now they're comfortable with Zoom. They're comfortable with Starfish appointments. So we're starting to see that our Dreamers are starting to kind of get comfortable and get used to it. But it did take a lot of conversations with them to say, yeah, everything's going to be fine and our campus is here for you. But how about our first gen low income students, May or Robert?
To kind of piggyback a little bit on what Willie was saying is that I want to say for me, we did have some struggle with students at first with the internet and a huge help with some of the hotspots that we were able to get for some of our students. But traditionally also too, some of our students are kind of fearful to show their home situation, their home life, or maybe just they don't want us to see their background of what's going on. So we also did get bombarded with a lot of phone calls. And I think as students have gotten a little bit more comfortable with Zoom, that's definitely been a transition we've been seeing more this semester. Yeah, but definitely it's been a transition. And to be honest, it's very difficult to recruit a student via Zoom because some students just don't make the time, or they may not take it as 100% serious as if it was in person. To be kind of honest with it in my perspective. But yeah, definitely very, very difficult for a lot of first gen low income students. And then especially if they have kids.
And I would like to say that is especially true. And that's why working together with faculty is so important right now, because it's harder for us to recruit via Zoom, but many students have contact with faculty every day. And so I think during this critical time, have to work together to make sure that our students are being successful in internet classes and getting them the help they need. And for us as well, having faculty help us getting referrals so that we can have students to assist as well is really important.
So with that being said, well, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. And again, thank you for the Flex team for getting all this going. And let's flex our muscles here and get some students into our programs. And just, we're here for our students. First and foremost, that's, what we signed up for to help our students out. So, if we can be that person or that group to help them, we're for the challenge. So help us out, recruit, and you all enjoy your weekend.
I would like to add one thing. There is a question in here about some samples of inquisitive interview questions, and I'll be glad to add some to the PowerPoint. And however they're distributing the PowerPoint to attendees later on, they'll be attached to that.
Yes, thank you. And just a reminder, these presentations are being recorded and they should come out from Susie Nitzel in the next week or so that you can access them. And she should also have the PowerPoints available. So thank you all for joining. It's been a long day, so enjoy your weekend and have a great first day of the semester.